Welcome to POL Classics. Be sure to check out the best of POL from over the years. It's at its most popular day and time, and guess what? It's only on WNEP+.
WNEP proudly presents the premier outdoor show in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, your window to the great outdoors. Tonight on Pennsylvania Outdoor Life.
We've got a fish story for you that will surely shock you. And we'll try our hand at fly fishing in central Pennsylvania.
If you're ready to wet a line, Pennsylvania Outdoor Life starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. I'm Don Jacobs, along with Ken Hunter, and I have to admit, some people like the fall, some people like the winter, the spring season. Yesterday opened the turkey season. Trout fishing just gets better and better. Bass fishing.
One of my favorite seasons. I think they're all my favorite, but that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, now yesterday was the opening of the turkey season. We'll have something for you on the opening of the turkey season next week. But right now, you're going to take us out to a little trout fishing?
Yeah, I had a chance to be with a friend of mine who is an excellent fly tyer, Doug Zahner from up in the Muncie area, and we tied up some flies and went out to a little creek up there, White Deer Creek in Union County, to see if those flies would work. Doug, thanks for the opportunity, and what are we going to tie first here?
Well, today we're going to tie one of the first things we're going to start with is a Quill Gordon nymph. First thing I do is I take a Mustad 3906B. It's my hook that I use for that, size 12. First thing you do with this fly is you put this on the tail, or on the bend of the hook in the back.
You're just wrapping like
just wrapping on
foundation at the bent
Correct.
base.
Then you take your scissors and clip off the excess. I take a few strands of ringneck feather. I like the real dark brown, and you put that on for the tail. You wrap the tail in, a couple wraps, and bring your thread back to the back of the hook. Then you trim your excess. Okay, so what I use is a little wax, and I have a cotton ball to develop a foundation here.
Why the wax, Doug? I know a lot of us use that, but some people may not understand the purpose of that.
The purpose of the wax is to keep the fibers of whatever material, be it rabbit fur or synthetics, sticking to the thread. And in this case, I'm actually using a little cotton just to develop a little base for the lead to actually grip onto instead of the bare hook. I always keep a good quarter of an inch away with this because I want a nice head for my finished product.
They're crowded. I don't want to crowd. Fly tires get to the end and they're really crowded up there at the head.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I take this really fine lead. Bring your thread to the front of the cotton, and you just wrap overhand, or some people call it palmering, like you would a hackle. The next step I like to do is I like to wrap the lead. I like to put a lot of wraps of the thread on there to kind of secure the lead, because the next step I'm going to mush, I would like to say, the lead to form the flatter body of the nymph.
Okay.
All right, next thing, I take my little pliers and I'm going to flatten that body out to give it the nymphal form. Just take a little piece of dubbing and you just dab that on your thread. The next thing is I like to use my thumb and my pointy finger, and I work that into the thread. Then you go ahead and apply that to the body. Now I'm going to do the wing casing. So you tie your turkey feather on, and then I'm going right back to the dubbing. And we're going to finish to the front of the eye of the hook, leaving enough room for the legs and the eye of the hook. Now for the final stage of this fly is actually bringing this wing casing over top of this nymph. And then all you're going to do is finish off with the head of the nymph. And then here I am going to whip finish this because it's all done. Little head cement. There's your finished product.
Now that Doug has showed us how a fly is tied, we decided to visit White Deer Creek in Union County to try our luck. It didn't take long for me to hook into this one. One after another, the brookies gobbled up whatever it was that I was throwing at them. All right, this one hit it deep. I'm in a nice deep pocket right here. It swirls around the bank over there by that root. And this guy smacked it again. This is on that bead head. It's another brookie, pretty decent brookie. Right there. Stock brookie, I'm sure of that. There you go. This pool was holding many fish, and I just couldn't keep it all to myself. There we go. Hey, Doug, come on up here and join me. A lot of fish in here. Come on up. Okay, that's that same style of nymphing that Doug's doing down there. I just left it fall down, hold the rod tip high. Just hold the rod tip high and feel for a twitch. Another nice brookie. Oops, here we go, Phil. Shortly after, Doug found out that persistence pays off.
Ah, nice little brookie. I'm off the schneid.
Well, as you can see, Doug and I caught a lot of fish, but we weren't catching them on the flies that we had tied in preparation for this. And you know, I think the reason is, Jake, that we feel the hatches are running a little bit behind. It's a colder year, the water's colder, you know, probably 5 degrees colder water temperature. We expected Quill Gordons. We were using woolly buggers and bead heads and other things, catching trout, but you have to adjust.
Right, you have to adjust. Now, now you said you were at White Deer Creek, but what hatchery were you at?
We were actually, I don't know how those, we went up and down that creek and we hit like 1 or 2 places where there were a lot of fish, and then other places there weren't that many. It was a tough area to fish, though, a lot of logs and things like that, and we had to work down through that. I suspect people were kind of passing that by saying, I don't want to get into that mess.
Right, too much gnarls in
probably,
there.
that's what I think might have been happening.
Excellent story.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about where all the trout went before the opening day, so stick around.
We'll have even more POL Classics on WNEP Plus right after this.
Welcome back to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. You know, Jake, there's a lot of people that are having a lot of success on the streams. We've had some ourselves, but there's also some people complaining and saying they're not catching the fish where they thought they were. In fact, in some streams, they aren't where the Fish Commission put them.
And that's exactly right. And this is sort of a story that says if you complain enough, somebody's going to listen. Up in the Wayne County area along the Dyeberry Creek, Officer Dave Koneski's been hearing from people right along saying, opening day, the trout aren't there. So he got in touch with Dave Arnold, the biologist for that area, and he got in touch with everybody to say, let's study the Dyeberry Creek right before the opening day.
We're looking to solve a problem of mass migration of fish. We'd put the fish in the preseason stockings and they'd migrate out in as little as 24 hours at times. And reports from the fishermen, opening day catch reports that haven't caught a fish or haven't seen a fish, led us to this point. Some of our own observations would indicate the fish are moving and the lack of the catch by the fishermen. So we have our biologists here from Pleasant Gap, from Monroe County, Luzerne, and Wayne County to try and solve the problem today.
Is it a good story for fishermen to hear that they're being heard?
Absolutely, their opinion counts. If the fishermen didn't let us know, we'd have no idea, or we'd find out a lot later. Now, this has been going on for 3, 4, maybe 5 years now.
3 or 4 primes. Does it on this one?
Yeah. All right.
Is an electric backpack, puts electricity into the water, and we're using AC, alternating current, which basically numbs the fish. Because of the colder water, the fish move slower, so they're a little bit harder to catch because they'll tend to stay where they are. But when they start moving, it stuns them and it allows us to net them. And then we look at the fish. And for this stream, the Oswego fish of freestone, they're marked with a left pectoral fin clip, which is like the shoulder fin on the fish, flipped off a little bit. And if they're from Benner Springs, it's the right pectoral. This year we decided that we'd stock brook browns and rainbows, because all the years before it was always brook trout. And we also separated in each stream, mixed it 50-50, 50% from a freestone hatchery in Oswego, and 50% of the species of each individual brook brown and rainbow trout species from Benner Springs, which is a limestone hatchery, to see which one maybe is the freestone hatchery is not, doing well in there. Because what happens is, in limestoner, because they're in a high calcium carbonate water, they retain more calcium. And when they get into the freestone streams, it's stripped out of their body, but they have a greater quantity to lose than a freestone raised trout. And when they get depleted of calcium, it could cause them to leave. What we're looking for is these fish that were stocked in this section, brooks, browns, and rainbows, were stocked from Oswego Fish Hatchery, which is a freestone hatchery. The pelvic fin was clipped, which is this fin right here. These are the pectorals. This is the pelvic. And this indicates that it's a right pectoral, a right pelvic clip, so that means it's from Oswego Hatchery. If it was from Benner Springs Hatchery, it would have had the left pelvic fin clip, and that's a freestone hatchery. Right. And these were stocked on the 8th.
2 days before we're doing this.
Right.
Okay.
And they've been documented, according to the fishermen. They would come in and look in the holes and not see them there at night, the same night or the next day. So we know, there are here. I expected to find more in this hole, but
Rainbow right. Wow. Brook right.
We found that in some of the other waters where this has happened. This isn't, it's not typical, but it has happened in other areas where the trout pre-season all of a sudden just started leaving. Same hatchery being stocked, water quality is basically, okay. But as you saw on the other site, might be more habitat where they were all hanging in and tight along the banks. They weren't out in the center of the stream where a lot of people would be fishing. So, but we did, we got mostly browns and rainbows down there and some brooks. And the brooks were from the freestone hatchery. And the browns and rainbows were from Benner Springs, which is the limestone hatchery.
Brook right. Rainbow left. Brown right.
Hopefully we're going to find our answer. If not, we're going to, think about it and maybe try something. We don't want to stop the pre-season stocking. That's like the last thing we want to do. Because there's no sense for us to be stocking a water that's not going to hold them. In season's fine. The fishermen catch them, but the pre-season is the rough time period.
So there you have it. Is there an answer to all of the questions? Where do they go? How long do they stick around? No. But Ken, what they did say was that from this they will now know that they have to stock right up against the opening day, no more month before in some of the streams, that the cold water probably has a lot to do with it, period. And what they did say too is I got a lot of phone calls and emails from people that fished the Mahoopany, the Bowmans, Mashopin Creek, some of those other northern tier.
Other streams are involved in this same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And what they said basically is this: what you're going to find out is that the cold temperatures on some given years will send the fish down there, but water quality at this point is not an issue. So there's a lot of answers yet that we will get from this research.
Water's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the timing is off.
Timing's off. They're still looking at it, but they answered the call of the fishermen. They complained enough, and that's
a
good
good thing. We are getting results. The start of it anyway.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, hey, we're going to go to a break, but we'll be right back with some tips on how to hunt gobblers.
POL Classic, we'll have much more of it on WNEP Plus right after this.
You know, yesterday, of course, was the first day of turkey hunting season, and hopefully a lot of people were seeing some of these birds, Jake, but our field staff member, Dale Butler, is going to take us out and show us what to look for in the way of a mature gobbler.
Before you go into the turkey woods, I think you need to be able to distinguish between a gobbler and a hen. A gobbler has a beard on it, sticks out the front. This is a mature gobbler beard. It's very easy to see. And to be a legal bird in the spring, it must have a beard on it. The other thing is, if you were close enough, it's got spurs on it. A 2-year-old bird, the spurs would be less than an inch long. Over 2 years old, could be upward of 2 inches. The other distinguishing factor is the feathers. The breast feathers on a gobbler are black. On a hen, they would be brown. On a gobbler's head is one of the most distinguishing factors. It stands out very brightly. When a gobbler's excited, his head is white, almost pure white as it comes into you. But it can be variations of color of red, white, and blue. And a mature gobbler, he would have a full tail spread. A young bird would have 3 high feathers in the middle. This is Dale Butler, and this has been your tip of the week.
Thanks, Dale, for those great tips. And boy, we have one right here in front of us, Jake.
Yes, we do. Actually, Dale Butler and I got out and did a little bit of hunting for the story next week, so be sure to watch that. And good luck if you're going out.
Won't get out the first few days, but you guys saved me one.
Oh, and it gets better and better. We all know that. Sure. Now, we're going to take a look right now at some of the photos that have been sent to us from our viewers. We call it Pennsylvania People and Places.
And we start this week's edition of Pennsylvania People and Places with Chris Early of Pittston Township and the 10-pound steelhead he caught while fishing on the Salmon River in New York. He says he hooked into a bigger one, but it flopped around in his hands and got out of the boat. Happens to me a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Herb Santee of Walnutport is seen here holding up the 21 3/4 inch brown trout he caught while fishing at Blue Mountain Fish and Game. The bait of choice, Herb tells us, the lunker bit on a Thomas Colorado spoon.
Hard to get it out there. Here's another trout photo for you. Luke Matezgo from Tuscarora, Schuylkill County, hooked into this 18.5-inch golden rainbow trout while fishing with his uncle Joel on the opening day of the trout season. If you look closely, you'll see a tag and the dorsal fin of this fish. Nice catch, Luke.
Let's change gears from fish to 4-legged types. Dave Nemechka shot this 8-point buck while hunting in Luzerne County during the first week of the deer season. Dave's grandchildren tells us their grandpa has never lost the love for the great outdoors or hunting for that trophy buck. Great job, Grandpa.
Our next photo comes to us from Tim Schreiner of Williamsport. Shown here is Tim's daughter Emily and her first deer. Her deer sported 6 points and weighed in at 135 pounds. Emily's dad says that when she walked up to the deer, she started shaking like a leaf. And welcome to deer hunting, Emily.
Nice job. And finally, we'll wrap up this week's edition of People and Places with Phil Unger and his son, 11-year-old Colton Unger of Asbury, Columbia County. The pair are seen here with the 8-pointer buck Phil took on the opening day of the rifle season. Phil tells us that after seeing his dad shoot this big buck, Colton can't wait for his first year of hunting. And that puts an end to this week's People and Places. If you would like to send us a photo, send it to Pennsylvania People and Places, 16 Montage Mountain Road.
Luzick, Pennsylvania, and the zip code is 18507. And of course, joining me in the production booth that day when we were talking about people and places was senior field staff member Mike Stevens.
Yeah. Mike always does a great job and keeps saying senior.
He doesn't like it, that's why. And he made the mistake of telling me, I don't like being called
That
senior.
means he's going to hear it a lot more often, I'm sure.
Please, when you see him out there, call him the senior staff member.
That's right.
Okay. All right, should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Welcome back to Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. We've been talking turkeys, we've been talking trout fishing. We have some good outdoor writers here in Pennsylvania and some very knowledgeable ones when it comes to flies, don't we?
Jake, right here, we have one of the best outdoor writers, and I think one of the finest fly tyers in the state of Pennsylvania. Charlie Meck wrote this book, 101 Innovative Fly Tying Tips. I know Charlie personally. He's an excellent fly fisherman, excellent person. Let me tell you a little bit about this book that we're going to give away here.
Absolutely.
He's autographed the book, for one thing, which is nice to have that personal autograph. The early chapters are all about the basics of fly tying, and being a fly tyer myself, I still find it important sometimes to go back over basics. So there's some basic information there on fly tying. As we move through the chapters, we get into some stuff on tying nymphs and emergers. Excellent material here. We advance on into wet flies as we go further into the book.
Now, do you understand this yourself?
Oh,
Ken?
yeah, this all makes perfect sense to me. A lot of people say, what's the difference? They all get wet when they hit the water. So, and then finally we get into, well, not finally, but we get into some dry flies, and that would include terrestrials here. That's a land-borne insect.
Right, like an ant or something.
Yeah,
right?
ants, beetles, that sort of thing. And then he has some information here on some special types of ties, spent wings, tying downwing flies, information you might not normally find. This is an excellent book that we're giving away, and somebody's going to be real happy with that.
Autograph copy.
Autograph copy.
I have just about every copy of a book that he wrote telling you what streams to fish on too. I think it's
That's
Trout
another
Streams
excellent
of Pennsylvania,
book, yes.
right? An excellent author, excellent book. Let's give it away to one of our viewing audiences. And we have more fly fishing coming up soon, don't we?
A whole lot more.
Yeah.
The best is yet to come. I think the month of May is really the height of fly fishing.
Okay, and there you go.
Hey, the happy winner here is Joe Kosmeyer, Sr. from Troop, Pennsylvania.
Congratulations, Joe. Now, over the next couple of weeks, we will have some fly tying for you. We're going to spend a day on the Delaware after big brown trout, plus turkey hunting and crappie fishing.
Oh,
some good stuff coming up.
A lot of stuff coming up. This is the season.
And we'll be bringing it to you. From Ken Hunter, I'm Don Jacobson. For the entire team here of Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, enjoy the great outdoors.
So long.
Okay. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life is a local presentation of WNEP TV. We're proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania.
Thank you for joining us for a look back at POL Classics. Now I'm going to invite you to join us every Sunday night at 6:30 on WNEP+.